Hello there, I'm Leo Warder for KitGuru, and this is the news, my weekly roundup of stories from KitGuru, stories that just caught my eye. Not necessarily the biggest stories of the week, they're just ones that appeal to me. So for example, Google paid Apple $1 billion to remain default search on iOS. I'm just simply stunned that it's worth Google's while to pay Apple $1 billion to be the default search engine. Obviously it means that Google makes absolute blooming fortunes from the thing, which in a sense actually slightly scares me. What is it that they're doing with search that pays them that much money? They can chuck Apple $1 billion. Perhaps it just shows my naivety. Then we have Foxconn reportedly wants to buy Sharp for $5.3 billion. This is for screens. As we know, Foxconn is a company that's the size now of a city. It makes epic amounts of devices for the likes of Apple. It needs screens. Sharp produces screens. Sharp is one of those brands that I think to myself, goodness, do they still exist? I bought a calculator from Sharp once upon a time. So the fact it still exists, well, there we go, and it's producing things, that's good. But it's also a sign of the times. Sharp, Japanese company, obviously Foxconn, Chinese, and the times they change and the power is moving to China, and it has been for years. Gchq shot down encryption standard because it was too good. Okay, encryption standards, they can have some really peculiar names. This particular standard that apparently Gchq, which is our security people here in the UK, so there was a standard called Mikey Saka. Apparently Gchq likes Mikey Saka because a researcher called Steve Murdoch pointed out apparently it's hugely flawed. So if we use Mikey Saka, basically everything on our phones is going to be open for Gchq to have a look at. On the other hand, Mikey iBake apparently is secure. Gchq doesn't like Mikey iBake. This winds me up. They tell us they want metadata, and I understand that. The thing is, person A speaks to person B at time C in place D. What they actually said, obviously would like to know. But if you were to listen in, if they're saying, did you see the guy about the thing at the place and get the stuff, you wouldn't have a clue what they were talking about. So if you're listening onto their phones saying something similar, you'd be none the wiser. What you need to know is that these people spoke together, and if ideally then one of them went off to meet somebody else, that would be a clue as well. Whereas if they basically break the encryption, break the security of all our devices, it's not just going to be the security people that make use of this. All those bad people in Russia and Nigeria and China and so on, they'll be having the contents of our bank accounts before you can blink. And the problem is, anything that's encrypted today by a standard that's quite good is potentially broken in the future. If it's encrypted to the standard that is already flawed, you can bet your boots it'll be broken tomorrow. So all the records, all the archives, all the stuff that we think is private, it ain't going to be. And then some bright spark gets into a company or government database and they can read every blooming thing in there. I don't like this. Anyway, Samsung begins mass production of HBM2 DRAM. This is good. When HBM launched on the AMD Fury, it was HBM1, I suppose. It was the original HBM. Impressive stuff, actually. It's rare for things out of the gate to actually work properly. This worked properly. It just wasn't that impressive because the capacity was limited. HBM2, on the other hand, should make it mainstream. I'm looking forward to seeing this. The fact Samsung's done started mass production is a good thing. It means HBM2, we can expect to see it sooner rather than later. A good thing. On the other hand, and this is the final story, NVIDIA Pascal HBM2 GPUs rumoured to launch second half of 2016. Two halves to this story. The first is that when Pascal launches in the latter half of 2016, it's expected to have HBM2. Makes perfect sense. Why stick with GDDR5 if HBM2 is up and running? Because HBM was in development for years before it finally came out. So when it finally came, it wasn't actually a massive surprise. But the other half of the story is that Pascal was originally supposed to be available first quarter of 2016, i.e. January, February, March. And now they're saying second half of 2016. This is obviously all unofficial. But that suggests that Pascal has been pushed back. Now, whether that's because NVIDIA has no reason to get ahead and launch it quickly, or whether they can't for some reason, or it's not economic, that remains to be seen. At the moment, I would suggest NVIDIA has not got massive competition from AMD at the high end of graphics. If you want a GTX 980, you get a blooming good graphics card for a sensible amount of money. A Titan is a lot of money. At the moment, NVIDIA, they have got the cream of the crop. So when Pascal comes, you'd expect to be more of the same. Why should they bust a gut bringing out a new thing when essentially they're competing with themselves? So HBM2 good, Pascal second half of the year, no massive surprise, bit of a shame though because I'm looking forward to seeing that. Anyway, this is the news and this is Leo Walder for KitGuru.